All right, third and final topic for today.
Mm.
Me and you both have some experience with. It's Baldur's Gate.
Yes, yes.
I figured we'd do a quick flash review of what we thought. I have some questions written up over here.
Okay.
We'll ask each other these questions.
Before I answer any of these questions,
Okay.
I'm just going to say I am completely biased.
Yeah.
I love Dungeons and Dragons, so my opinion.
It's pretty good so far. It's pretty good. Well, the first thing I have is first impressions.
I can't see my physical reactions.
You're just smiling grin right now.
Yes.
First impressions of Baldur's Gate 3.
Love it.
You love it. Why do you love
it? It just like, I mean, it's basically D&D, the video game, and
Yeah,
I love
it really
D&D.
is.
I love playing D&D. I DM for people. I played a few times. I love every bit of it, and Baldur's Gate 3 is basically that. There's a few things that need some work on. Like,
well, save that for a second.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna get to that.
I actually love all the characters, not because I like them all. I love them all because they're different, and I can strongly dislike some. Like, are we allowed to give spoilers?
You can say, well,
You're playing through, so I won't give.
I'm playing through. Yeah, don't say
but
anything.
like Lyselle's kind of a jerk, but I like it because that's how the Githyanki are supposed to be.
Is she a Githyanki?
Yeah, she's a Githyanki.
Oh.
She's the one you dislike because she's a jerk.
Well, I dislike a lot of them. I don't like Lyselle. I don't like.
You probably don't like any of them. The
I don't
only
like
person you like is
Astarion.
Gale. Okay, Astarion I get. He's a freak. I dislike him.
He just
but
seems so.
I
like,
see the role.
You know where they're
fills.
going for with him. It's
And
just like
yeah, but at the same time, he has a very interesting backstory compared to the others. Like, he was a vampire spawn. It's like, okay, and
my thing. I usually choose not to take him on the party.
yeah,
that
I know you don't.
And then
we play together, and I see you hovering the leave him behind option.
He's a vampire.
He's a vampire spawn.
Okay, but he almost killed some. Actually, there's a pool of blood just sitting next to our.
I'm pretty sure that's a glitch.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he did try to feed on us.
Yeah.
And then,
what do you think was going to happen when you take in a vampire into your party?
well, here's the thing. We told him no, and he was like, okay. And then we talked to him. He's like, I'll only feed on the bad people. And it might just because we don't take him out into the world, but he hasn't mentioned needing to feed on anyone again. So I'm slightly worried that he fed on one of our party members' bit. But it could just be a glitch, and there's just blood on the ground from some, because it's early access.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be bugs, there's going to be issues. Like the bug when you kill a guy and the ragdoll physics just turned them into a spreadsheet of skin.
Yeah. I've had that one quite a bit. Alright, favorite thing so far. Choose one.
Ooh. I really like the... How to put this? The branching story arcs. Like, you have your main goal, which is to deal with this thing in your head.
The side quests, you mean?
Yeah, but there's all these other things you can go and do that sort of tie into that. Like, it's always kind of the dealing with the Mind Flayer tadpole is always apparent no matter what you're doing, because people mention it. Like, there's this hag we fought, and she can sense the tadpole. So she brings it up. Actually, we haven't fought her yet.
I was going to say, is this the same one? We've encountered her.
We haven't fought her, but we've talked to her, and she's offered to help us get this tadpole out of her head. And we're like, no, you're an ugly hag. We're going to kill you. Which,
No, that wasn't it. She was
yeah, she had kidnapped this person.
Well, she was feeding this girl who I think's pregnant.
No. Okay, so I think you kind of you missed out on the first
I came in at the last point.
Yeah.
It seemed like she's like, you're eating for two now.
Let me catch you up on why that whole scenario. So the first two guys we talked to initiate that quest is the two brothers of that lady you're talking about.
The hag?
No, the lady.
Oh, the girl.
Yeah, Marion. And they're like, give us back our sister, you hag. And they have this whole spat. And
have we met the brothers before? Are they in the goblin castle?
No. You only meet them right outside the wetlands.
So it wasn't because there was that pot of people that was
No,
huddled around the dead guy.
You're thinking of the True Soul people, or the
Yeah.
followers, not them. These
Okay.
are two other guys. So they, spoilers for anyone who's not playing or hasn't played it yet. I have to like explain this whole area. So they like talk to this hag, and you roll a check, which I'm gonna assume makes you realize she's a hag. We can kind of just believe the two brothers, and they won't accept you going to save their sister. So they'll run into the wetlands on their own, and then you'll go in after them. They're dead. They get freaking wrecked. You just find their corpses next to these sheep. It's like, oh, it's like, okay, maybe these sheep aren't nice, but then. Basically, the reason the sister went in to this wetlands was because her husband died, and she's been super, super depressed. And she believes that if she helps the hag will bring back her dead husband. So that's why the hag says...
If she helps the hag?
Yeah, like if she does... She like goes to the hag for help, assuming that if she does whatever the hag says, it'll bring back her husband. And so that's why the hag says you're eating for two now.
Okay, so she's not pregnant.
No, she's not pregnant. She's supposedly eating for herself and for her dead husband. But to anyone who's played D&D or knows anything about hags, that's a bunch of bullcrap. There's a bunch of scumminess going on.
So what does the hag plan to do with this girl?
I don't know, something very bad, most likely. You've seen her hideout. Everyone's like, wah!
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy people in there.
Yeah. A guy got turned into a door, Ethan.
What?
That gnarled door?
The door we walked through?
That was a guy at one point.
Oh.
Yeah. He was originally just a guard, and he let someone through. You missed out on that conversation.
Well, no,
too.
I think I went through it. I just didn't understand what was going on.
So yeah. It like shares its memories. He was a human being, and he let a guy through, and the hag chopped him up into a bit, and then turned.
So now he's a door that lets anyone through?
He's not supposed to let anyone through.
Oh, well, he let us through.
Well, I convinced him that we'd kill the hag, and he'd be free.
Oh, okay. All right. On our third bullet point, your least favorite thing so far.
My least favorite thing?
And this might be hard for you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, generic answer is not more game. I want more stuff.
Okay, don't...
But,
other than more game.
Yes.
And that's not a bug.
Yeah. It is kind of annoying that... Well, there's several things. First of all...
Try to do one.
Just one? I don't have to do
Doesn't have to be the most.
But there's like two.
Go two, then.
Okay. One is, there's a lot of spells that have been changed from D&D. Like...
Oh, really?
Like Firebolt. Like, not only do you, it, sets the ground on fire every single time you use it. Literally, every time you use the Firebolt cantrip, it sets the ground on fire. And then that deals, dot damage to anyone standing in it. So a cantrip that's only supposed to deal, a D8 of damage can end up dealing, 15, 20 damage. And it's just a cantrip.
So your problem with it is it does way too much damage all the time.
Well, also, AoE is out the wazoo.
It's OP in this game? Is that what you're saying?
No, but there's a lot of you're basically setting the ground on fire whenever you use it. There's no chance for it to set the ground on fire. It just does it. The ground's just on fire. And it's the same thing with Ray of Frost. You shoot it, and if there's any sort of liquid on the ground, it freezes it, and then people can slip on it. And so you have these cantrip spells, which are supposed to be oh, I need to do something because I'm out of spell slots. It's why use my spell slots when I have this cantrip I can use infinitely?
So you're saying the cantrips are too good compared to your spells?
Yeah.
And that's
not all the spells, but a good portion of them.
Okay.
They're too useful.
I see.
They're supposed to be your, oh no, I'm out of stuff.
Your basics.
Yeah. It's I need to do something that isn't just standing here.
But now it's why do anything while I can do this?
Why use my big spells when I can just use my cantrips that'll do essentially the same thing? There are a few spells.
And they've changed these cantrips?
Yes. Well, they've really just added on the AoE surfaces.
Oh, okay.
So Ray of Frost doesn't freeze blood, as far as I know, in D&D 5e. Firebolt doesn't immediately set the ground on fire. That's like, you know, you use Scorching Ray or like Fireball, like the big fire spells to do
the one that
yeah. The one that hit your fighter and you were like, oh my gosh, that really hurt.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing.
The other thing.
Shoot, I just had it. Oh, there's a lot of checks you have to roll. Like there's you did this scene. There's this scene where you find this dwarf and a tadpole crawls out of his head, and like the dialogue gives you an option to roll like a strength check to crush it. Well, if you succeed on that strength check, the game makes you roll another one anyway to do it again. And it's like, but I succeeded on the first one. Like,
so there's arbitrary checks in here? Is that what you're saying?
They're not arbitrary. It's just you have to do multiple to like actually do something, which is kind of annoying. Because it's like if you don't want me, like it's kind of like when people DM for the first time. They're like, I wanna like give them the illusion that they can do this.
But you don't want them to do it, really.
But I don't really want them to do it, so I'm gonna make it like 3 or 4 checks. And if they fail one, they fail completely.
And you think the game is doing that a little bit?
It does it occasionally. And for certain things, like those checks make sense. Like if you're trying to shove over a giant statue, it's like, okay, that's gonna take like maybe like 2-3 successful checks because it's a giant statue. Unless your guy's like, you know, level 20, like rolls a 34 on his strength check. But like if you're like a level 5 with like, and you average like a 17 on your strength, it's like, okay, yeah, you start.
17's pretty good though.
But it's like you know in Indiana Jones where he like climbs up the Anubis statue and he has to sit there for like a solid like. He's gotta like wiggle it back and forth a ton to go anywhere. That's basically like the multiple check thing. He doesn't just go over there and shove it over.
Okay.
But it's like, this is a tadpole in my hand. And it's like, yes, we do have a tadpole in our head that makes us feel bad for crushing it.
Well, we think it's beautiful. I think that's what it's been telling us.
Yeah, that's what the tadpole, like, you think it's beautiful is the tadpole going, no, don't kill our brethren.
Well, right, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, your least favorite thing is the cantrips being more powerful than the spells, and there's some checks that kind of seemed railroady.
It feels like it's someone DMing for the first time, and they're like, oh, they succeeded. That messes up what I'm trying to do. More checks.
Okay. 4th bullet point. What do you want to see most out of a final product?
Final product? Oh, I mean, the game's already on such a good, like, track. Like,
Foundation?
Yeah, like, where it's going. Like, when I first started up the game and did my solo run, I ran into, like, 0 bugs. Like,
well, I think it's more the multiplayer that's really
like,
bringing down performance.
Actually 0 bugs. And I was just like, because I had a day off, so I spent literally the entire day off just playing it. I was like, this game is so amazing. Like, I didn't have, like, I was just sitting there, like, shocked to, like, because it's been a while since I, like, really, really enjoyed a solo player game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, this game is so, like, fresh, and all the characters, like, I wanted to know about, like, Shadowheart, and, like, why she, like, what kind of cleric she is, and why she's, I want to know more about her, like, how she came into being the cleric for who she serves.
Do we know? Excuse me.
It mentioned it in an arcane, but I don't want to say.
Have we learned who her? Because don't clerics have gods?
Yeah.
Who's her?
We've heard it. It's Shar. Shar.
Is that a reveal?
Kind of, yeah.
Shar. Who's Shar?
Shar. Okay, so in the world they're using for Baldur's Gate, which is Faerun, there's Shar, which I haven't like gone and read this. I just kind of used.
Is Faerun an actual world outside of this game? Like, is it known?
Yeah, it's like the standard D&D like setting.
Oh, so it's not original to Baldur's Gate games.
No, I don't know who used it first, but it's like the typical setting of D&D things, like all like Rise of Tiamat, all of those like modules use Faerun as
Okay.
like the world. But Shar is like basically there's Shar and Saloon. Saloon is the goddess of like light and all the goody good stuff, and then Shar is like the evil sister, like goddess of darkness, of secrets. From what I read slightly online, Shar is like definitely evil, like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, oh, we have a cleric of Shar.
But anyway, let's get back to what you think of, what you want to see of a final product. Like, what do you want to see the game do
Oh,
when it's
man.
finally released full?
There's,
Is there something that's not in the game that you want to see?
I mean, obviously, there's all the classes that they're eventually going to add in. I really hope they add more to the character creation. Right now,
That's-
there's only one body type.
That's my big thing. Is I want to see more customization and more armor variants. Because right now, I'm pretty sure all leather armor looks like that kind of basic leather armor.
Yeah.
I want to see more customization options. Obviously, more classes will be nice, and more armor visual variants. Like, it doesn't have to be a whole new stat,
Yeah.
but I want to see different looking armors.
And I think they'll get there eventually.
Do you think we'll ever get modding to the point where people can come in and make their own campaigns?
I think
Because haven't they said they want to do mods?
so. From what I know of Solarian Studios, the people who are making the company, they made Divinity Original Sin 2. Or Divinity 2 Original Sin. And they that game has its own like GM mode, like you build like a maps and stories and all that. So I would assume if it's like it's something they can definitely do if they decided to do it. I don't know if they will do it. I mean, that's just up to them. Again, early access is supposed, if we're going by average standards, it should be about a year. So based off of that, there's a lot of things that can be added in, changed, and all that. But yeah.
Okay. Last question, and I know this is going to be hard to answer, but I want you to think from it from a perspective of someone who isn't really a huge D&D player, but has an itch for a single player / multiplayer with friends role playing game. Is it worth $60, which is the price it's listed at right now, for its current early access? Because there is a lot of bugs and can be quite frustrating to play with friends.
So here's the thing. Like, I could see why people would be like, wow, this is not worth $60. But here's first of all, when something says early access, that should immediately stop you. You should go and research what early access is. Because if you don't know that early access is basically filled with bugs, like the purpose is to get information to the creators so they know what to fix. Like it's to give the creators information on what they need to fix and what they need to add. That's the whole purpose of early access. The reason they slap a price on it and don't make it free is either A, because they need more money, which that's probably one of the bigger reasons.
Probably most of it.
Yeah. B, they're like, hey, if you pay for it now, you don't have to pay for it later, so you at least get in on it early. You get to help make the game.
Is there a history with early access games never come out early access though?
Some of them don't. I don't know how many don't.
Neither do I.
But there are also, I feel like there are a lot of games that don't ever enter early access in the first place because most games are made by the big AAA.
Well, big studios won't do it. They'll just release a beta.
Yeah, because they don't need that extra money.
Well, I think what they're trying to do is just they'll make a.
But even those, like even the new Cold War Call of Duty has like an early access thing going.
Well, that's just marketing. I
Yeah.
think to most of those big studios, it's a marketing ploy. Because especially with betas, they release a beta, they don't fix anything. It's just
Yeah.
advertising.
Yeah.
But what do you think for a generic player?
I mean, that's such a case-by-case basis. Because if you're okay with dealing with bugs and, like, the long loading times that happen more in multiplayer from what I've experienced. And, like there's a consistent I guess I'd call it a bug where like someone will talk, but their I mean yeah it is a bug, but their mouth animation won't play, but their head like all their other body animation will. So they'll be like moving their head.
That's one of the smaller
and
ones,
making
though.
gestures. Yeah, that's one of the smaller ones. But like, the biggest bug I ran into so far is there's this vine like thing you can climb in the Underdark. For whatever reason, the game does not like you climbing it because you'll climb up to the top, and then you'll just fall there. You'll like clip through the ground and just start falling. And if you have this book on you that's called like the Tome of Thay, it'll like drop it and you'll never get it back unless you reload.
Oh yeah, I remember that happening. If you're asking me, I would say that if you're a D&D player slash RPG fan, you probably already know about this game, and you're probably gonna get it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
If you're someone who's just, I wouldn't say I'm quite in this group, but someone who's just having an itch for a co-op slash single player multiplayer game, this does seem like that thing I usually talk about is like I just want a game where I can play through a story campaign in an RPG setting with my friends. This is the closest thing I've ever seen to that. So that's
Our characters actually talk to each other.
sometimes okay. That's probably my second or first. I want to see more character like not NPC but player character interaction. I want to see more of that, and I hope we eventually get voice lines for our characters. But I would say if you have, like, it's like I have $60, I'm ready to buy a game for Broketober.
Is that what it's called now? Broketober?
October's Broketober usually. I don't know. Is the Call of Duty already out?
I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really buggy. But if that's what you're looking for, is a single player multiplayer RPG story game, even though it's quite buggy in its early access, it's pretty amazing what's been achieved here, and where I'm excited where it's going to go. It's just, don't go buy it just to buy it because you think it looks cool, but if it's something you actually want to play, I'd say it's pretty fun. Sound good?
Yep.
All right, I think that's all I have for today, Dylan. Thanks for joining.
You're welcome.